Throughout the summer of 2001, foot and mouth disease tore through the southern part of the Yorkshire Dales. More than 500 farms were silenced and over 250,000 animals were killed in this small area. Throughout the pain and sadness, a group of farmers from Malham and Grassington allowed a camera to witness what life was really like living with foot and mouth. It's mid-November. Winter has arrived in the Dales. The majority of fields are empty and the eerie silence is only disturbed by the distant hum of power washers as farmers disinfect their farms. Farmers across the Dales are burning old hay, straw and debris DEFRA want destroyed before livestock can return.
It felt very cold this morning because it was the first frost of the winter, and holding a pressure washer, it was perishing.
Philip Metcalfe's family are turning the event into a late fireworks party.
That was a nice one, Daddy.
Philip lost most of his cows and sheep when ministry officials sent slaughter teams to the wrong location. Despite Philip's protest, they killed over 1,200 animals that shouldn't have died on that fateful day in May. Philip has struggled with the welfare of his remaining animals all summer. Restrictions prevent him from moving sheep to land he has around the farm that's rich in grass.
With the weather deteriorating, it's very puddly as the ground, and basically they've been living off soil, and animals tend to like grass to eat rather than soil. And so they've lost condition. They're pretty disgusting. If you touch them on the backs, they're supposed to be nice and round. Well, it's like touching razor blades.
Philip has had 2 separate risk assessments carried out by government vets. Both recommended to the Leeds headquarters that the animals should be moved, but the top brass keeps saying no.
In desperation last week, we said that if somebody wouldn't come out and look again, that we'd get the RSPCA involved because the animals were deteriorating fairly rapidly.
A vet from head office came immediately and has granted Philip a licence straight away.
I've been on the phone at least half an hour every day trying to get this movement sorted out. I think farmers are going to need a full-time secretary in future.
The village of Linton is one of the Dales' hidden gems. A small community with only one industry apart from the village pub, and that's farming. In June, the peace was shattered with the noise of gunshot and heavy machinery. Philip's relatives, Ronnie Metcalfe and his son Johnny, have decided to become the first to restock in the Dale.
Jonathan felt it very hard at the time. He just lost all his cows. And we were a bit bothered that he wouldn't carry on the family tradition, and it just hurt.
They're at a farm near Philip's to buy animals, and they're doing it without a licence from DEFRA.
Corky.
Yeah,
Corky and
Bridie.
Bridie. Right. And you think she'll fall next spring?
Yeah.
Well, this morning we decided it was time we did a little bit of restocking. So we've come along here to look at these little ponies, purely as a pleasure thing. Yeah, I thought it'd be nice for a surprise Christmas present for the children. They've had enough this year and it's just a fresh start.
Go on, Bridie. Oh, boys. Quite a simple job restocking, actually.
Yeah.
Ronnie and Johnny have news they can go ahead and do the real thing in a week's time. The Deans have farmed near Grassington since the 12th century. Then they discovered a cow with a blister. Within hours, 2,500 animals were slaughtered. Angus Dean has left his father and brother to clean the farm while he's persuaded DEFRA to give him a job, supervising the cleansing of other farms in the area.
I was very nervous at the start when I took the job on, but I know exactly what the farmers have all gone through.
Angus hopes this will be the last time he visits Bolton Abbey farmer John Croft.
My job is now for the supervision of the final disinfection. This is the end result that you like to see, that your work has come to fruition.
Is that good enough?
Yep, that's it. Thank you.
John's delighted. His man from the ministry has made a tough 5 months a little easier.
Angus Dean is one of the best case officers anybody could wish for. He's one of DEFRA's best men because he has common sense, and half of DEFRA men have about as much common sense as a telephone pole.
It's probably the first time farmers like John won't have to think about feeding their livestock on Christmas Day. David Sayer still has most of his animals, those that weren't culled and those he can't sell.
Christmas is usually a time for us when we have a quiet time. We're all together around the dinner table at dinner eating turkey. But this year it's different because we haven't been able to sell anything. We still have all the gimmer lambs, we still have all that stock left. We're going to have to feed them all. We still have all our animals, well, most of them, 90% of them. There's a lot of people that haven't got any stock at all, and maybe I don't know how they'll feel disappointed that they've nothing to do at Christmas. Maybe they won't. They'll be able to sit by the fire and and go out on a night and have a pint or two, and it doesn't matter whether they get too much for the next day because they've nothing to get up for. But then, if you have nothing to get up for, is that what they want, you know? I've plenty to get up for, but I could do with a break.
763 farms in North Yorkshire had their animals slaughtered, but only 133 of those actually had the disease. The rest were neighbouring farms, their healthy animals killed as a fire break. Government figures revealed 20% of UK farms culled as infected premises came back with negative lab test results. When Anthony Dean lost his animals 6 months ago, he never expected to be escorting such a prestigious visitor to his local auction mart.
I am welcoming the Prince of Wales when he arrives, and then introducing him to all the directors and staff. Can you just put my collar down? It is comforting to know that Prince Charles is taking a very keen interest in what happens in rural North Yorkshire. That's all right.
Yeah.
Into fashion parade.
Well, no, you've got to be right.
St James's Palace staff are keen His Highness follows the strict biosecurity measures farmers do.
As long as he's on that mat, that's fine.
Yeah,
so,
okay. So the mat is the...
Yes,
It's a detail His Highness takes seriously.
The plan is to dip his feet in there, is it? They never go to plan, he'll go to that one.
While the Prince speaks to people outside, there's a moment of concern that the media won't get their photograph.
The bucket, if we can. That one.
Oh! Yes. What's the mixture?
Iodine.
It is.
And the rest of the royal staff follow suit. Anthony takes the Prince on a tour of the building.
Are you buying something or are you not?
It ends with a meeting without the press where farmers talk openly about how foot and mouth has devastated one of the Prince's favourite parts of Britain.
He was very conscious that sort of the psychological effects that people have gone through, his foot and mouth. You know, he will talk to a lot of people in higher places and hopefully will say the right words in the right places, and I'm sure he will.
He did very well. I thought he did anyway. Yes, he did.
While some farmers are meeting royalty, Philip's in a cold barn mixing cement.
I've finished the clean-up. All I have to do now is just point one or two little bits of holes up. Just in case there's any virus hiding anywhere. I got to the stage where I got up in the morning and I just didn't want to power wash anymore. I was sick to death of the sight of my power washer. When I get signed off, I haven't a clue what I'm going to do. I haven't enough animals left to give me an income or to justify spending 7 days a week looking after them. So, if anybody out there is willing to give me a job, I'm looking for one.
After 6 bleak months, suddenly the Dales has a positive feel. In Malham, the businesses are still quiet, but the tourists are slowly returning. A mile away in Kirby Malham, the village is excited that animals might return. Bill Bland was one of the first to get foot and mouth in the area. He was also one of the first to be signed off clean.
Well, I think the wife's a bit relieved. I'm going to be able to have something to go to do that I want to do, rather than being a bit miserable at times, which I know I have been, and Sheila no doubt suffered because of it.
Bill's finally got the permission to get new stock. Strict rules on biosecurity mean a 2-hour detour to disinfect his truck at DEFRA's office in Lancashire.
For 6 months, we've been coming out of his house and there's just absolutely nothing, whereas tomorrow morning we'll be able to come out and everything's walking about in fields again.
Bill's buying from Gary Schofield's farm over the Dale in Buckden. Gary and his vet inspect the cows. They will be used as sentinels, roaming Bill's fields to see if they pick up any remnants of the virus.
Providing there's been nothing, no infection or anything in 28 days, then we're then clear as from foot and mouth, and we can then restock again to whatever level we want to do.
The 23 cows will take 2 trips back to Malham. Time is tight to get back to the disinfection point before they close tonight. But then the DEFRA official and vet debate if the truck needs to go on the 2-hour round trip after every load.
Don't be too bloody. I have a brother that has to be back. He's taking a load of lambs at bloody 6 o'clock in the morning.
No, I realise that, but...
Well, then I'm sorry, but...
What we don't want to do is, you've been signed off and such like, but there's a reason why they have all this sealing and biosecurity in the first place is...
We're not going on to farm at yon end.
Are you not?
No, we're unloading off the road.
He's not going on to the farm, so
check with Gisborne, but if they're not come off, then it shouldn't be a problem. No, if they've not gone on, and you're right, well, I don't have a problem with that at all.
No, I
didn't realise what you're talking about.
What I'll do is I'll spray the lorry when it gets back.
I don't think there's any fear of it reoccurring. When it died, I think it died. Yeah, daft.
Pat from DEFRA must ensure there's no remote chance the virus could be brought back to Gary's farm when the lorry returns.
The last time it occurred 30 years ago, there was a percentage of outbreaks that reoccurred, you see, and I presume they're sort of trying to prevent that this time.
I don't know how many of these I've put on this year, but there's been a hell of a lot of them.
Stop that gate, Bill, please. Easy.
They look well, Bill.
They do, don't they? The only thing they'd be a bugger if they did a heart attack, wouldn't it?
The highlight of Bill's day will be getting livestock on the field in front of his house.
That's a nice sight.
Looks a bloody sight better, doesn't it? It's the day that we wanted, but we're beginning to think would never come.
It's not only Bill who's celebrating. The Yorkshire Dales National Park has good news for walkers and local businesses.
What about Gordale?
Gordale.
Try Gordale from the bridge.
Through the scar to the bottom of the waterfall is all clear.
The park has just been given the go-ahead to reopen footpaths around Malham that have been closed for 10 months.
Can you actually get back to the road from that end?
No.
Right,
because
so
there's a restriction, it's closed all the way to
that's no good then, is it? We've just got to be in the middle.
The task is to find routes that avoid farmland still under restrictions. The first people to walk to Malham Cove since February are rangers Jackie Ellis and Caroline Watson.
Initially it feels weird coming out because it's been so long since we've been allowed out on the paths, even us, that...
It feels like you're doing something wrong, isn't it?
You feel guilty?
Yeah. Look, the first people. We've just literally gone down now and opened it, but...
We didn't realise it had only opened today.
Yeah, we're just going around to open a few other places now, but yeah, so...
Oh, that's brilliant.
You're very privileged.
The fields around the Wharfdale hamlet of Rilston remain silent. Jim Cagill lost 3,500 sheep in 4 separate culls.
It's a feeling of sadness, emptiness. I've no doubt it will hopefully get better, but realistically, there's a void in life at the moment.
Jim spent the summer thinking his dairy herd would be next, but his luck had turned and his cows survived.
The only certainty about it all is the uncertainty.
Farmers like Jim also suffered a feeling of isolation. Trips to Skipton Auction Mart were more of a social event than a place to trade, but sales have been banned since February. That's changing this morning. The auction has come up with a way of getting around restrictions that still won't allow animals into the ring.
A very good morning to you all. Welcome back to Skipton Auction Mart. Hopefully it won't be too long before we're doing the real thing and with something to sweep up after a day's work.
The reopening is a big event and the ring is full, even though most people are just here for a chat.
So we'll make a start with lot number 1, the Peter Shackletons, heading just up north of Skipton here. 500 piece, 500, 450, stop me, 350 and away. Thank you, 350 bid.
Farming is well known to be a very lonely occupation.
410, Bad Eastern, bid 20, 420, 430, 430.
That is why the auction is almost an escape for some, to come down, to see people, to discuss things.
440, 50, 450 bid.
Talk about the cattle, talk about the sheep, talk about politics.
Help this house here, I'm going to sell them at the go. Once more, old on a 450. High gate 450.
Mallandale has its new cows. Now it's time for Wharfdale to get some sheep. Ronnie and Johnny Metcalf are one of the first in this dale to be given permission to restock.
Somebody once said to me that when we get livestock back onto the farm, we'll get a buzz out of it. I think the buzz is appearing.
It's nearly 6, 7 months now. We've had nothing. Morale booster. We're just checking that we've no mouth lesions and checking any lame ones.
While local vets are busy now, they're worried about the future.
It hasn't been a nice year, put it that way. We've had a lot of, you used to think it was a disaster if you had a client leave or, go out to milk or whatever. It was a major effect on their practice, but we've lost 150 clients in the space of about 3 months. It has been hard work, mentally more than anything, I think. Ooh, I'm excited.
Happy Christmas.
That's right, yeah.
Back in Linton, DEFRA have invited the press to witness the new arrivals, even though Ronnie and Johnny aren't too keen.
Will you sort of walk them into the
field?
field?
The lambs will see the grass and they'll run straight off that wagon into that field.
Can you sort of be by the gate then as they come past you?
You can stand.
No,
us two, right.
Yeah,
no, you don't want us.
Yes, we do.
The problem is the best shots are in front of the sheep, but these animals want to go anywhere but towards a camera.
You see, this what happens was a lose them if you... Yes, we've lost one. Let it come, let it come.
It's a bit difficult with the press being about, but if it promotes a clean Britain and a fresh start of British farming and the excellence of the products we do actually sell, it's all well and good, and I'm all for it. A lot of them don't understand the management of animals, and one or two got in the way perhaps when we were unloading, but it went well, and definitely were happy with the situation, and that was good.
The buzz, I explained earlier, you get a buzz out of it, and we've certainly had it this morning.
The weather seems to get colder every day across the Dales. It's less than a week before Christmas, and slowly but surely more and more farms are certified clean. Power washers that are frozen up at the beginning of each day can be turned off for good.
Spot on, Philip.
It's the morning after the DEFRA Christmas party, and Philip's farm is next to be scrutinised.
I can't remember what else we asked you to do. Was it just capping blocks, and there was just some muck on the door?
Which capping? There weren't any blocks to cap.
Was there not? I can't remember what there was.
I believe that everything happens for a reason, and I'm still trying to find the reasoning behind foot and mouth. What good has come out of it? I've got my farm clean for nothing. It's provided a lot of people with jobs, working for DEFRA. As for something good coming out of it yet, I don't know. Oh, so who's going to pay me wages now?
Not DEFRA. No. We'll should receive all your payments pretty soon now that's gone through the
Yeah.
4 mince pies for 20 shillings, freshly homemade.
For 3 weekends in December, the small village of Grassington becomes an attraction for thousands of visitors. This year's Dickensian festival might save some local businesses from folding. After a summer of empty shops, the visitors are back and spending their money. The festival creates a Christmas mood across the Dale. It's traditionally a time of giving, and businesses across the Dales are grateful for what they receive. During the year, 2,030 farms caught the disease, but more than 9,500 farms were actually culled. The government say 4 million animals were slaughtered, but the Meat and Livestock Commission say the true figure is almost 11 million. They say DEFRA's figures fail to include, for example, the 4 million lambs that were killed with their mothers. It's New Year's Eve, a day the whole of the Dales has been waiting for when they can leave 2001 behind them.
It would take a far cleverer person than me to predict what the future holds for 2002. If we'd been sat here this time last year, who would have predicted the year that was to lie ahead for us?
I think the people that live in the Dale are that type of people that they will get back to normal. They'll change, but they've been changing for the last 30 years.
I just think it's great. We can. It's just a challenge. It's an excitement, really, because it's a new beginning, new start.
If I had a wish, I would love to have every single cow and sheep back that I'd lost. I'd love to have them back tomorrow.
Since filming ended on New Year's Eve, the Dean family once more have animals on the land their ancestors have farmed for 900 years. Unable to make the land pay, David Sayer is having to give up part of his flock and has taken a part-time job milking cows. And a year after the mistaken cull on the 25th of May, Philip Metcalfe is back in the thick of lambing time. But like everyone else in the Dales, he'll never forget 2001.